Λοιπόν, έχουμε στην άλλη άκρη της γραμμής τον σπουδαίο David J, των τελικών Bauhaus και των Love and Rockets βέβαια. Hello, David.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to Channel One. It's a privilege to have you here, really. So, first of all, is there a new project maybe on the way? Are you working on something new?
Yeah, I'm working on a few things actually. One of which is a new album, which will be it's about time. The last one was about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, and it's sort of like an accidental album that's come together. Not that I planned it to be a themed record, but I've been recording tracks over the last few years, and I realised there was a theme, and the theme is mortality.
Yeah.
So this record is all about that. It's going to be called Not Long for This World.
Mm-hmm.
And I recorded a new song, which will be the title track.
Wonderful news.
Last week in San Francisco, that I co-wrote with a guy called Michael Berg, who's an artist who I've produced in the past, and that turned out very well. So hopefully, early next year, this will come out.
All right. And what about your memories from Athens, David?
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago. That I did do a show there a few years ago, a solo show.
Yeah.
And that was great. It's a little club, it's really packed and a very responsive audience.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, I mean, Bauhaus were over in 1983.
Yeah, I was there, you know.
You were there, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
And I remember the audiences were quite spirited, shall we say.
Mm.
And there was even a riot when we played in Athens.
Yeah.
Very explosive concert. But then we were treated very well, and we were taken out, and we ended up going up into the hills, and bizarrely we ended up judging a beauty contest.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
We didn't quite know what was going on.
I know.
And we weren't taking it seriously, and we were giving very low marks, which was a bit unfair. And this resulted in a bit of a punch-up with some of the local lads who took exception to disrespecting their girlfriends who were on parade. There was actually a fight, which we managed to escape from.
David, can you tell me some details about a wonderful song, Sorrow Sleeps at Night? Amazing track.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah,
You're
that
welcome.
was... Well, it's quite an interesting story. I was staying with a friend in a forest, actually, right in the middle of the woods in Santa Rosa. And I was up there with my band. We were playing some gigs, and she told us this story about her ex-husband, who she was convinced had murdered this young girl and buried the body out in the woods. And she was in this... The building was It was a round building that was all glass, and she had these motion lights that would be triggered by any movement in the forest. So as she was telling us this story late at night, so the lights would just come on and just illuminate the whole of the forest. And it was very dramatic. Anyway, so she left. She was going to stay somewhere else, and I stayed over with my band in this house and wrote that song. So it's a murder ballad. And the music came very spontaneously. We actually recorded some of it in this building in the woods, and then added to it back in Los Angeles. And that's the story behind that one.
All right, David, let's go back in time for a while. Can you tell me about your collaboration with Rene Hackett a long time ago, of course?
Yeah, that was a very special thing, because it actually came through John Peel, the DJ, DJ. And he'd received a letter from a friend of Rene's who listened to the Peel show.
Yeah.
And he wanted John to pass on the message to Bauhaus, and he sent it to me. And then I was amazed to think, I was in communication with somebody who was at the original Bauhaus school in
Of course,
the
yeah.
20s.
Amazing.
So I wrote to Rene, and then we struck up a correspondence, and he invited me to visit him in Cornwall. He lived in this little cottage, and he was a painter. as well as a poet. And he showed me some of his poems. And on that first visit, we had the idea of marrying his words to my music. So he actually just recorded 2 poems on a cassette and gave that to me, and then I worked with that actual cassette. So that was the vocal. Went into a studio, the same studio where we recorded Bella the Ghost is Dead.
Come on, really?
Studios, yeah. And the same engineer, Derek Tompkins, and recorded it, you know, very quickly. And I played it to Ivo Watts Russell at 4AD, and he loved it. He said, "I want to put this out." So it came out as one of the early 4AD singles, and then it was reissued later on, 20 years later. It originally came out in '82, and it was reissued in 2002 as a CD.
Yeah.
And it had an extra track on it, which was something that was on the other side of the tape that René had recorded. It's a long sort of like a fable called The New God, and I remembered this recording, so I thought that would be great to have that as an additional track. When René died in '83, I inherited this wonderful instrument called a lutar from him. It's a cross between a guitar and a lute. It actually dates back to 1850.
Yeah.
And I played on it. I played this instrument to accompany René's story, and that's the extra track that you hear on the CD. It's only on the CD.
Fantastic, fantastic, yeah. David. Yeah.
But he was a great man. He was a fantastic character.
I'm sure, yeah.
And I feel very privileged, you know, to have met him and to have worked with him.
David, speaking of Bauhaus, what about your favorite album, really, with the Bauhaus?
Favorite Bauhaus album?
Yeah.
Probably not the penultimate one, Burning from the Inside.
The last one, yeah.
Yeah, because the last one was Go Away White, which I am actually very fond of. That was one we recorded in 2005. And that was an interesting one because we went in with no preparation at all, just lyrics. No music was written, so it was all written in the studio. So the idea was that we would record the moment of conception, as it were, and so you get that very sort of vital sound, you know, raw sound. And we mixed it as a rough mix, but we were on tour with 9 Inch Nails, and we played it to Trent Reznor, and he thought it was great as it was, and he was really encouraging. He encouraged us to put it out as it was, because he said it was really raw and urgent sounding, and we went back and listened to it, and we thought, we agreed, so we did. That's how it came out.
All right, David, thank you very much for your time. We'll be in contact anyway. Thank you, really.
You're very welcome, yeah, and I hope to come back to Greece.
Hope to see you soon.
In the not too distant future, that would be great.
Yeah, me too. Thank you again.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Αυτά λοιπόν από τον David J, τον Bauhaus και τον Love the Rockets. Μας είχε πάρα πολλά σημαντικά και ενδιαφέροντα. Πάμε ένα σήμα σταθμού και επιστρέφουμε.